Everybody, welcome back to Wicked Good Sports. This is At the Buzzer, and we're joined as always by Ryan Flynn and Jack Tiernan. Gentlemen, how you doing?
We're doing well, thanks, Brian. I'm always scared to answer now for us, Ryan. I'm
Mhm.
doing well.
I was gonna say you don't have to ask. I'm spoken for.
That's
Yeah,
Was-
yeah. So, I'm glad to hear that. And why wouldn't we be doing well? The Celtics, probably the hottest team in the NBA right now, winning 9 of their last 10. That sounds better than having lost last night's game, I think. But they had a 9-game winning streak. And Jack, what do you think has been the key to the Celtics' success of late?
I think, obviously there are a couple things I feel like that always stick out to me when the Celtics are doing well, and it's ball movement and ramping the defense up. Even without Rob Williams, I want to be the first to say that. I think the defensive tenacity has been important. Derek White has been a huge piece for us, filling in for Marcus Smart when he's down, and Brogdon for the most part, eating those point guard minutes. And honestly, yeah, again, that defensive tenacity, ball movement, those are the big things for me, I think, that stick out. Tatum is doing it all though. He's averaging more points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game than at least in recent memory. He's really popping off. I don't know, man. I feel like we're really putting it all together this year, and I think we said the same thing last year, but now we have the track record to prove it. I'm just excited to get Rob Williams back, honestly, because that gives us the interior defense we're sorely missing. Al's been good, don't get me wrong. Smart can hold his own in the paint as well because he can really play. He can match up defensively on any position, obviously better against some than others. But for the most part, I think getting Rob back will be a nice presence for us. And Luke Cornett has filled in admirably. Let me just say that. I know, big Cornett guy. So that's where I'm at, I think. Again, ball movement, Derek White obviously stepping up big time. And then our defensive tenacity has definitely improved in the recent stretch of games, I would say.
Yeah, right. Same thing. What has stood out to you? Do you agree with Jack? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I would agree that defensively, they've definitely stepped it up. I don't believe it's quite on par where it was last year,
No.
but as he said, Rob Williams still out. I think again, ball movement is huge. Like they're racking a huge number of assists. I do think that we just have a ton of depth right now. Surprisingly, maybe not on the big positions, but it's just like it's just very clear. There's a lot of guys coming at you. Like Hauser's been a pretty nice addition. Brogdon's coming off the bench, and it is pretty scary because that's right. Without imagine if we had Gallinari and Williams,
right?
Like it would be pretty wild. And again, a big reason I do think is Tatum, but if you look like the OKC, like we're at probably the last game we haven't covered, the OKC win, I think afterwards Marcus Smart said, this is a game we would have lost last year. Absolutely, right?
Yep.
And it wasn't necessarily Tatum and Brown that were scoring all the buckets at the end of that game, right? A lot of it was Smart and White, so it was the role players. So when you have two elite guys like that, right? One who's I believe right now, I think he's in the conversation for MVP. At least as it stands right now.
For sure.
And then you have all these surrounding pieces. That's awesome. And I do think Cornett is looking better than I thought he would. That game against Oklahoma City Thunder at 15 points, 3 blocks. I think he had 8 rebounds. 3 blocks.
Yeah.
He's yeah, so I would just say that, this team has been through a lot, right? And the core pieces, right? They work really well together. They're motivated to win. And, the surrounding pieces are falling in pretty perfectly. It's just a matter of can they step back up to that elite defense they had last year to match what has been the number one offense in the NBA.
Yeah, so after the break last year is really when the Celtics became a juggernaut. Went all the way to the finals, obviously lost the finals in 6, but an incredible run. And then they've come back, and it doesn't seem like they've missed anything, even with a new coach. How has the coach, changed this offense for the Celtics, Ryan? What do you think there?
So I think Joe Mazzulla is a great coach. So far, he does look good, and he's open to the idea. I think that like he hasn't figured it all at once, right? That these guys do kind of already have a game plan, know what they're doing. But I think like if you kind of look at, I mean, since the break, if you're going that far back, I mean, a big thing that was impeding us looking back was probably Dennis Schroeder.
Yes.
Being such a major role in the rotation. You look now, like a lot of times you'll see Jason Tatum bringing up the ball, and like for instance, like Marcus Smart and him have really high efficiency on pick and roll together. But the thing is they can both do either position. That's just right. And I think when you have like a talent like him, additionally have a talent like Brown, you have Smart, who's such a gifted defensive point guard, and I don't necessarily think he's not a point guard who needs the ball all the time. A guy like Dennis Schroeder, who's really high usage, low efficiency, it was just a recipe for disaster, right? So I think that was a huge piece for the offense. Obviously, Joe Mazzulla seems pretty big on shooting the threes. We've seen that it can really work. But he makes, again, one thing that's a real big plus for him is he's willing to make the adjustments. We shot horribly against Oklahoma City Thunder in the three, right? We took 7 more threes, and then I think we shot like 21%. But, they started just taking it to the hoop a lot. And then once they got that, they were able to get some key threes like Marcus Smart's at the end. I think Derek White had one, if I'm right.
Yep.
And that's really what you need, especially when you're not hitting shots and you're against like Oklahoma City Thunder, because the way like SGA's been this year, he's just he lives
on fire.
And like I think that was actually one of the first times I noticed like they were like double. Like at first they tried everyone on him. At a certain point, I think it was like they had Horford on him, and that was working. And then eventually they just went to a double team, which we very rarely double team because of how like just efficient we are, like switching and kind of knowing matchups and all of that, and they still couldn't really stop him. But, like I said, that those adjustments that Mazzulla's willing to make, I think are pretty key. I would like to see him. I think it was like yesterday. I kind of wonder, like, you could see Al was getting a little tired. His shots weren't hitting, and that, right, we knew this was going to happen. I'm just kind of wondering, like, why not maybe like try Blake Griffin, just something different. He's got experience. I feel like he could. He would at least know how to expose some weak points of the Chicago Bulls and just give it a try. But he's a first year head coach. He's coaching the best team in the league. Like I think he's doing awesome, and he's just he's kind of learning on the fly. Some of those nitty gritty like adjustment details you might not know as well until you're actually, he watched them all the time. He did it with Ime, but like when you're actually the head coach making those calls in the moment, I would imagine it's a lot different.
Yeah, Jack. I mean, as you kind of agree with Ryan, how impressed have you been with the job Joe Mazzulla has been doing?
Yeah, I think Mazzulla honestly has been a good coach, and I think, like Ryan said, obviously a very big 3-ball type of guy. But I think the interesting part of that 3-ball and his willingness and encouragement for the players to just kind of spot up and shoot is that it opens up the interior game a lot, right? You see it from Derek White, who loves to drive to the basket. He's really effective in there with his layup package. You see Jason Tatum driving to the basket more, which I think honestly contributes a lot to the level he's been playing at this year. I think that scheme is working. I think from that regard, it is definitely working. He's kind of taken Ime's scheme and made it look a little bit better from an offensive standpoint. And that's definitely contributed to the run that we've been on so far. I think Ryan, you and I have talked about this in the past too, where the Bulls kind of have our number to a degree, just like the size of their players matches up against us pretty well. When Zach LaVine is, I don't know, Ryan, you might disagree with me there. That seems like not certain.
Oh no, I was actually thinking it's interesting because it's like one of those ones that kind of defies. Like I feel like it's not necessarily. You could disagree with me here that like we match up badly against them. It's just the way we have played at them. If you're looking at the stats, just the way they play against us this year, it doesn't match how the two teams are outside of those matchups. That's what I mean. And it's like I think Aya DeSumo. I mean, he missed his first 3 ever against the Celtics, and he still had like a on fire. Now he's just like a random Celtics killer. As he's second, third year. not necessarily. I mean, I think he's like, yeah, he's off and on starting.
Like spot starter type of guy. No, I think you're
Yeah.
definitely right, and I definitely agree that it's one of those weird, like, why do the Celtics not look like the Celtics against the Bulls, and why do the Bulls not look like the Bulls against the Celtics? But I think, yeah, I mean, outside of that, right? I think otherwise it's been pretty consistent, like, shooting the three ball at a high clip and an efficient clip at that. Thanks probably a lot to Sam Hauser, who has the highest plus minus in the NBA currently. That is wild. Didn't expect that coming into the season. Like, I think that efficiency and that effectiveness and the need for a team to have good perimeter defenders opens up the layup lanes for us, honestly. And that's been a key to unlocking our offense. Marcus Smart being a more willing passer. There was that period where he averaged like 11 assists a game for like 4 or 5 games there. That's important, I think. Marcus being a willing passer, and then obviously having the offensive firepower of Malcolm Brogdon to come off the bench and really, pick up some slack, is key. I think, again, definitely with Ryan on the, like, let's switch some guys out, give him some time. I see a lot on Twitter about a lot of the talking heads saying, like, give these guys a rest. Like, they've been playing a lot of minutes, especially against the Bulls when we were down 20 in the fourth. Like, just pull your guys. It's okay. It's one loss, especially Al, like you said, his shots weren't hitting. You could tell he was kind of gassed. Just put Blake Griffin in there. See what happens. Play with 2 bigs. Get one of the 2-way guys up. Get Cab up in there, right? Let him catch some lobs. Stuff like that. I think would be interesting to experiment. It's a long season, right? And that obviously showed last year when we made it all the way to the finals. And you have to think that there's still some fatigue from that. So we've got to manage that, especially early in the year. These guys are going to be gassed for the second half of the season. Potentially would be in for the opposite of what happened to us last year, where we kind of sucked the first half of the year and then really turned it on right before the All-Star break.
Yeah, and I mean, we could have. What, did Pritchard play at all last night? I don't believe so.
I don't think so either. No,
Yeah,
I think we had the 3-headed monster point guard.
Yeah, I mean, he's been playing the games of his life. He's literally been playing like his job depends on it, which, I mean, you could argue it does because it
kind of does.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think the Celtics have any intention of getting rid of Peyton Pritchard. I think it's more just having a hard time finding a spot for him in the rotation with all those dynamic 2-way guards, But also, I mean, and I would say like both Pritchard and even Blake fit into the way Joe Mazzulla's like schemes on offense work. I mean, Blake Griffin, because he doesn't have explosiveness, he does like to shoot 3.
Yep. Yes, he does. I've noticed that too. I mean, that's the thing too, right? Blake obviously has a high basketball IQ from the time that he's played in Detroit, in LA, right? Like, those are kind of like, he knows his stuff, and you can tell that he actually is a decent defensive player, and kind of knows that in order to get minutes on this team, you have to be good at defense or you're just going to get benched. So I think that showed a couple times that he's willing to do that. He's not willing to be the offensive juggernaut that he once was, or the lob threat, obviously, right? So I agree. Put Blake in there. What's the worst that could happen? He's not necessarily a liability, probably like a net neutral, right? Minutes eater type of guy. Which I think is kind of what we were hoping Gallinari would be as well. So,
and I think you could actually argue where like some of our key players, right? If you ever think at certain points they may fall asleep on defense when they're ahead, or because the offense is going so well, I do think based on what we've seen, Blake, he's not going to do that, right? Because he is just kind of happy to be on a team, eager to play. Like you said, very high basketball IQ at this point. I do think they want, he plays hard defense. These guys are a little older, so it's not like Timberwolves would be with like Pat Bev, but they're also not like, like LeBron and Davis. And I think like Griffin's not too much where like, they might be like, all right, like this guy's giving it all a D. Maybe we got to step it up a little bit on this end as well.
Yep.
That's just an idea. I mean, we haven't seen it in practice, but.
True. Good energy guy. And the team likes him, right? He and
that's what I mean.
Along. Jason Tatum, So we take that. We take that out of Blake.
Yeah, no, definitely. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about coming on here? Open forum.
Definitely don't go back to last year when we were playing the Nets and talk about me saying the ghost of Blake Griffin, because I think he's been pretty effective, honestly, for us, as not a guy who's going to go out and really be a game changer, but he's gonna give you effective minutes for the most part.
Yeah, his stats are, but that's good. That's what you need from a player like that right now. Is that he'll play 12 minutes and almost no stats, but
But that's fine.
He's a presence beyond
Yep.
the score sheet, if you
Totally
will.
agreed.
And hey, we saw him game 4. He gave a little spark to the Nets in the playoffs last year. Maybe that was
did.
when Brad was like, "Yeah, I need that guy. I need
Yep.
Blake
possible.
on the team." All right, so I guess with that, Jack, where can they find you online?
Best place to find me is on Twitter, and that's at Jack_Tiernan. Follow me there for NBA takes, NFL takes, all the jazz. You could also follow my disc golf Instagram account, and that's at Jack Disc Golfs. Follow me there for disc golf content. Met the GOAT, the 6-time world champion Paul Macbeth. Got to plug that naturally. Follow me those places. Definitely be posting more content.
Let's love that. Follow him there, right? Anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Haven't posted in a few weeks, but you can check out NBA articles on Wicked Good Sports blog.
Yeah, you can check that out. Check out my predictions. Don't think I did too hot this week for the NFL predictions, but I've been heating up generally, so check those out. But yeah, that's wickedgoodeverythingsports.com. Then you can follow the channel on Twitter at wickedgoodsport or at WG Everything, Instagram Wicked Everything, Twitch at twitch.tv/Wicked Everything, and on TikTok search Wicked Sports, search Wicked Everything. Guys, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having us, Brian.
I'll see you all in the next one.